What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. So today I did want to talk about 4 things I would say the Crew franchise can learn from Forza Horizon 5. Now, the first thing I do want to mention is we all can probably say that this can most likely be vice versa with a lot of different games and also genres, but with the racing genre specifically, well, you could probably look at each game and go, oh, this would be better in that game, or oh, this game has a really cool feature that would work in that one, right? So I am saying that because obviously things in the Crew would probably be better in Forza, right? So it's kind of like a vice versa thing. But I have been thinking about this for a minute, and I would say as a first-time player in Forza Horizon 5, I would say these 4 things in this game can greatly benefit the Crew. So the first thing I did want to talk about is going to be the Eventlabs. Now, we all do know for a fact right now that the Crew 2 did end up having some type of race creator in there. Even though it was going to be a very bare bone design, it was still going to be a race creator to where players can make super long races or longer like off-road events or, boat race and stuff like that. So it did give them the option to make events if they did feel like making something that you most likely didn't see in the game. Forza Horizon 5 is basically going to take this to an entirely different level with the Eventlabs. To be honest, guys, I have been messing around with this a bit, and I'm definitely going to be doing more with it. But my goodness, this feature is absolutely insane. And that was something I really did like, though, because a lot of people are probably like, okay, well, you're going to put a few checkpoints down, you'll have like a little race here. No, man, on the Eventlabs, you are probably going to be able to make some of the craziest things I have ever seen. And a lot of people might be like, well, yeah, dude, you could throw on some checkpoints and stuff, like, for example, the Crew 2 race creator. Yeah, no, dude, with the Eventlabs, it really is crazy. Like, when I was going into the playlist, which is going to be the festival one to be specific, you are going to notice player-made races are going to be in the playlist at times. It isn't going to be every single week, but you are going to notice them showing up. Sometimes there's 1 or 2 in there, which I think is very cool how they're going to pick different player-created events and throw them into the festival playlist. That way other people can do them and be like, yo, this person makes some pretty cool events and stuff like that. I want to go check out what else they do. But it really is crazy how you're going to find legit full-on made racetracks, dude. Seeing like buildings and all kinds of different things in an entire made track, it really is crazy. I feel like the overall design of the Eventlabs is honestly something every racing game could benefit from, but I have honestly not seen it on this level. As I did mention before in the Crew 2, where a lot of other games would probably allow you to add like checkpoints or something around the map, but this game really is going to take it basically 100 times even crazier, and I feel like that's also going to add on to the overall gameplay loop, allowing players to experience even more stuff. For example, you might want to make a racetrack, or maybe you're into off-roading, you want to make like a rock climbing thing, or you want to make like an off-road course or something like that, or maybe you want to make a specific race for like hypercars or something different like that, or maybe you want to mix in like an off-road race with cement and you want to have both of those in there so you can have like a rally type race. You can put in obstacles and stuff, and there's just so many different things you can really do with it that is not only going to add on to the end game part of Forza, but most likely almost make this game never ending in the aspect of what you can make for races. I feel like if something like this was in Motorfest, man, now, I'm not going to say it has to be this crazy because I do know there's probably a lot of work behind making a thing like this to where it gives players that much freedom to make events. But I do feel like if something like this was to be in Motorfest, I think we could probably all agree, not again on this scale or this crazy, but allowing players to add a lot of objects for like motocross races or different things in the set events to where they can make them really interesting, or changing around part of the map and different things for races. I think that would be so dang cool, and it would also add on to the fact that maybe there might not be enough races for different vehicles. This would easily fix an issue like that because, well, you can make pretty much whatever race you want and pretty much any way you want, making it almost unlimited with the amount of things you can do. But now for the second one I did want to talk about here is going to be the upgrading and the tuning system. Now, the first thing I want to say here is I do understand that the Crew Motorfest or something like the current Crew game is probably not going to have a crazy system like this, but I would say maybe they might end up changing this in the Crew 4, am I right? Or the Crew 3, Crew 4, tomato, tomato. Either way, the next game is obviously in development and it is going to be coming eventually. And I do kind of wonder if they are going to take notes from Forza or even something maybe. Well, then again, Forza is going to have kind of like one of the craziest tuning setups I've seen besides CarX Street. So I would say maybe they can take some notes from this. Now, a few different areas though. A lot of people I do know have been talking about the entire upgrading system at Motorfest, and they really do wish they would take a different approach besides the part system that you are going to notice. Basically adding all the gold parts on your vehicle is going to make all the vehicles maxed out, and that is basically it. With that though, I did notice a lot of the vehicles, like you can't really do different upgrades on them, or you're going to put these set parts on them, you can't change them around or take things off, or put something else on there that change the way the power of the vehicle is because you max it out, and that is basically it. I would say maybe going along the lines of what Forza did end up doing, to where you can add like different parts to the vehicle and go, okay, well, if I was to maybe add this engine part, maybe the car is going to have more acceleration, or maybe if I add a turbo or a supercharger upgrade to this car, maybe that's going to make it faster. Maybe I could jump in and add like an ignition or maybe a displacement upgrade to this vehicle. I would say that would be very cool, and that's something I have genuinely really liked about Forza. Being able to build my vehicles up and stuff like that, and going, okay, well, I'm going to add this or I'm going to add that to the car. Let's make it this speed or this class level. I feel like that's going to be pretty dope. Now, the funny part is I would say the entire class level design, or the entire vehicle class design, probably could take notes here as well. So where we are going to see vehicles, and whether that's like a muscle car, a supercar or something, or a sports, maybe a different type of sedan, or like an older rally car or something. It would be really cool to see different things in set classes. That way, if you wanted to upgrade them, you would then be able to go, okay, well, let me add some upgrades to this vehicle, whether that's going to be like a brake upgrade, or maybe I could change my tires on the car and they do affect the vehicle. Maybe I could go in and do like an all-wheel drive or a wheel-wheel drive swap, or maybe I'm getting a little bit crazy. Maybe I want to put like a different motor in this vehicle. Let me engine swap it. I feel like those little things right there really would be absolutely amazing in a crew game. Now, I'm not saying they have to fully on copy this, and the funny part is I would say people are probably going to jump in and go, well, yeah, the crew really did copy Forza a lot in areas, and the funny part is playing Forza and then going back to the crew, I could see it. But then again, guys, I really do think both games are going to be different and unique in their own ways. I'm not saying they have to come in and copy everything from Forza like that with the upgrading system, but it would honestly be cool to have a different system in place in the crew that's not going to be the current one we have right now with the part system. I really feel like it's going to be outdated, especially because they've been using it for what, like 8 years now or something. So hopefully the next game doesn't have it. And the other thing on top of that, besides the upgrading system, guys, I gotta be real, I would love a better tuning system. Being able to go into a vehicle and change around different pressures and all that, and different things on the vehicle like the gear ratios, I feel like that's going to be a very cool thing you can do to a car, like lowering the tire pressure. Maybe you want a different final drive for like a higher top speed, or maybe you want to have more acceleration so you can have like a different first gear. And then I did actually go into one of my cars and I changed the third gear, that way I can redline it higher and I can have more speed coming out of a corner. That way I didn't have to shift as quick, so I can pretty much accelerate a tad faster. Like, that stuff is so dope, being able to change your alignment and stuff like that, your springs, your suspension, which I do know Motorfest is going to have the suspension like the aero thing, but that's kind of it. I would love to see a different area of stuff you can do, whether that's going to be changing like the differential, maybe the acceleration, deceleration, stuff like that would be so dang dope. Kind of like an overall more in-depth tuning system in the game, I feel like would be awesome, especially in a racing game. The funny part is, one game I was thinking about recently was going to be Test Drive Unlimited Solar Crown, because I feel like the tuning system in that game is actually fairly decent. And on top of it, you can also change the gear ratios in that one. So I feel like having that in the crew, guys, would be absolutely amazing. And you know what, though? I gotta admit, there's only one issue I kind of see with this, and that's probably along the lines of this would be an entire, like, overhaul of, well, pretty much the entire system in the crew. So the question is, would we end up seeing a tuning system like this, or maybe a new upgrading system in the next crew game? I do want to know your thoughts on this. I might even make a separate video about this, going over it, talking about the crew more, going over like the settings on there, and then in Forza and Test Drive and all that. But do let me know what y'all think about that. Would you also like to see a better upgrading and a tuning system in the next crew game? The next thing I do want to talk about here, I am going to go over this briefly here, and I am going to make a separate video about this on Motorfest, by the way, when it does come to the PvP side of it. But I really do feel like the next crew game is probably going to be great if it does have more PvP modes. What I do mean by that is I'm not saying the Eliminator, a lot of people don't even want that in the next Forza. Do let me know your thoughts on that. But I'm talking about different game modes like hide and seek, for example. We're also going to have something like rivals where you can literally race against other players' ghosts, like your friends and stuff like that, beat them, be like, yo, bro, I just beat you with this vehicle in this class on this track here. I bet you can't beat it. And then boom, you have like a legit rivalry, aka rivals. I feel like that is also going to be a very cool thing. Kind of adds on to like a, oh, I'm better than you type of thing, or let's go compete on this said track or something. I feel like that would be a very cool thing to have in the crew. The other thing I also really did like about this though is we are going to have class-based PvP, whether it's we're going to have road racing, dirt racing, we're going to have street and stuff like that, or we're also going to have hypercars, we're then going to have sports cars and stuff. We're then going to have BA, S1, S2 class events. So there is going to be a big variety of stuff like that in the open class races. And on top of that, we're also going to have a separate drifting mode. Then, guys, on top of even that stuff, we're going to have the playground games. And this will end up consisting of small multiplayer modes, which I really do feel like people can probably argue in a racing game that you don't really need them. But I personally think it is going to add on to the fun factor and the overall experience of that said game even more. For example, in this, we're going to have something like Flag Rush, Capture the Flag. We have King. We're also going to have a game mode called Survival. And there is going to be even more than that in there. Survival was one of the newer game modes, at least for me, because I haven't played it anyway. I know it's not new in the game. But it was something I saw in a playlist. I'm like, oh, this is pretty dope. Let's try this one out. So I did end up jumping in, and you're basically going to have one team that's infected. The other team is the survivalists. And the goal for the infected side is to infect all the survivalists. And the goal for the survivalists is to survive. And I gotta admit, it was going to be a very fun game mode. If one of the other survivalists get infected, one of the teammates that are going to be a said survivalist can also hit them, and then boom, they're going to be back on your team. Like, it was a pretty fun game mode, and I gotta admit, I was kind of getting hooked on it for all 3 rounds of it that I did end up playing for the playlist. Little game modes like this are also going to add on to it, which again, guys, I am going to talk about this in the PvP video for Motorfest. I feel like game modes like this are very fun. Is it going to be the main part of it? Well, no, but I also feel like it's going to be a fun experience. With all that being said, though, as I did mention earlier, we're also going to have the custom racing with choosing your class and race type. So maybe you want to use like a B-class off-road vehicle, maybe you want to run like a street saloon or something, or a sports saloon, and you're also going to want to be A-class. Well, you can do that, race class-specific vehicles, and also use more cars that you're most likely a fan of, and just race those type of vehicles. I feel like that's also going to make things a lot more entertaining, and that is something I really feel like Motorfest can definitely benefit from. Again, guys, do let me know your thoughts on this in the comments below when it does come to different game modes, and I will be touching on this more in the PvP video for Motorfest. The final thing I did want to include this, I'm going to guess right now and say many people are probably not even going to be surprised about this, but that is going to be the servers and real crossplay. I really do feel like a lot of people are probably going to be wanting this, especially because it really should be a thing in every racing game. Funny part is, I did originally think that Forza Horizon 5 was going to be the first one to have a full-on working crossplay, at least on this scale, which to be honest, it still kind of is. But on top of that, though, it is funny how Need for Speed Heat is also going to have full-on crossplay, and that game came out in 2019. I really do love the fact that when I did hear about Forza Horizon 5 coming to PlayStation, you could play with everybody on every single platform in a lobby of 12 people. That is going to be so dang dope, being able to convoy with a bunch of other players and just enjoy and have a great time. Some of the footage you guys are going to see me in the background as I was just cruising around one day and I saw a bunch of people hanging out in this area driving Beamers, and I did end up following them around probably for like a good 20-30 minutes, just cruising around drifting, and it was genuinely so much fun to do. One of the biggest issues I have, and also a lot of players have in Motorfest even to this day, is going to be the P2P servers, which I believe is peer-to-peer, which is obviously a big issue because the servers are going to be very unstable in that game. And even to this day, on top of that, I'm still getting comments on that video going, man, my friend and I can't join this race, or I join and the entire screen goes black or something and we don't see each other, or we join in solo. I'm like, yeah, I also have the same problem, still having that issue since launch. I was seeing people ask this question in Discord, and I'm like, man, this issue really needs to be addressed in the next crew game, because the servers in this game, guys, with players disappearing or seeing people then they're gone, or just seeing their name tag, or seeing a lot of players around you, then you're driving with them 1 minute, next minute they're gone because of desync. And I think we could probably all agree that really does need to be addressed in the next crew game, man. Like, they really need to get that stuff right, because a lot of players, including myself, that have been playing the crew franchise since the crew 1, this has been an issue for basically 10 years now. Really hoping the Crew 4 is going to get this fixed, or at least have it at least better than what it is at the moment. And also, I do want to say, Motorfest isn't the only game that has the desync thing. Forza Horizon 5 is going to have the players desyncing and disappearing, and I have noticed this a little bit here and there, but normally they tend to come back, or if you are in a convoy, I have not had an issue with people disappearing yet, although they probably can here and there. But the cool thing is you can also play with your friends on every single platform, because it's a real crossplay system, and it's not going to be a fake crossplay system that was also advertised as crossplay. And man, that one video I did, bro, there were so many people confused on that. If anybody is wondering, Motorfest is going to have crossplay in the aspect of Grand Races and Demolition Royale. On top of that, also the leaderboards. There's no other crossplay in free roam or anything else. You can invite people of other platforms into your said crew and jump into a grand race that's going to be cross-play enabled, to where other players on other platforms can join you. Does that make sense, bro? Really is going to be a big issue in a racing game, especially because you can't cruise with people if your friend is on a different platform. Whereas on Forza Horizon 5, all you have to do is log on to the Xbox Live website, add your friend, whatever their name is that's going to be on Microsoft, and boom, you can invite them to your convoy, and that is literally it. You could play with them, go into the playlist, do PvP and stuff, even on different platforms. So yeah, this really is going to be a huge thing. I really think the crew is going to need to at least be in a better spot in the Crew 4. I would say everyone is probably going to agree that at this point, guys, better servers really are a must, and this is something they probably shouldn't be just like skipping on, or most likely not thinking about that much. Overall, though, I am really curious to know your thoughts on this in the comments below. What do you guys think about all 4 of the things I have mentioned, from the Eventlabs, the upgrading and tuning system, the PvP modes, and working crossplay, and also better servers as well? I feel like the crew can greatly benefit from this. And again, guys, I feel like having Forza on PlayStation, even CarX Street as well, like having a competition of racing games is very important. And I mean, heck, right now we're going to have, what, 8 to 10 months plus of probably no real new racing games coming out now, at least the ones that I don't know of. I do know there's that one game from Nacon, I think it's like Motorsports or something to do with like track racing. I might take a look at that, but besides that, I feel like competition is great, and maybe these games can probably benefit from each other, seeing what one game is doing great and what the other game isn't doing all that so well in. I mean, heck, guys, Eventlabs is probably going to be something they could easily do, like a race creator. Even Grand Theft Auto has a race creator, man. Like, seeing that in the crew would be amazing. On top of that, a new upgrading / tuning system, I would absolutely love it. And then, of course, having more PvP modes, which, again, stay tuned for that Motorfest video, because I do want to discuss this even more in there, because I kind of think I need to make a separate video on that here in 2025, which is honestly wild to say considering the game is 2 years old. And then finally, I feel like everybody just wants working servers and better ones, where it's not going to be fully focused on a specific game mode like Grand Races. Again, do let me know what y'all think about this. I really feel like the next crew game could probably benefit from some of these features being in there. And again, they don't have to fully copy it, bro. Just build upon it and add their own twist to it, and boom, you will have something truly unique in there.